Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Nick Talks with some Wednesday wisdom, maybe. So today, I wanted to talk about different lenses of thought and how to use them to your advantage to find kind of different solutions to different problems. So this is something that I have just kind of happened upon. I'm not really sure how it came to me, but it's a system that I've been employing recently, and it's been working out pretty good, actually. So what do I mean by lenses of thought? So essentially, whenever I come to a problem and I don't have an immediate solution, I try to come at it from different angles. So let's say, for example, I'm not enjoying movies as much as I used to, right? So it's like I used to love movies, it used to be a big part of my personality, and I just, it wasn't a ploy. I wasn't pretending. It was like real excitement for movies, and it just hasn't quite been the same for a long time. So okay, what could this be about? I just don't really understand. So I can look at it from a habitual lens. So what habits have I been doing lately that might take away from that? Consuming more short form content, right? Getting much more out of much less. I've been, especially podcasts. I spend 2 hours and I learn in-depth knowledge on a very specific topic that I'm interested in, whereas a movie is purely entertainment for the same amount of time or longer, right? So there might be a differential of value in my mind that I'm not registering, that is somewhat subconscious. And so based on these habits, this could be an answer, right? Or think about it like neurochemically. Now, I'm not a fucking neuroscientist, obviously, but I've done a fair bit of research on dopamine and some other neurotransmitters. And so if I think about, okay, tie in what we just said about consuming more short form content, I know that short form content, especially lots of it, lots of scrolling, lots of context switching, is going to key in a lot more dopamine release, which, could have somewhat habit forming nature to it, which means that since I chemically get more pleasure out of watching short form, it would be harder for me to watch more long form, when before I never watched any short form and I just watched long form and therefore had no problem with it. But now things have shifted, right? This could be another answer. And then, I could think about it emotionally. What things have changed that might taint my experience of movies a little bit? Well, a lot of the people that I used to watch movies with, that I got a lot of pleasure out of watching it with them, I'm no longer surrounded by, right? They're far away from me. And so potentially there's some emotional connection there that won't be fulfilled by me just watching it on my own. And maybe there's some damage that has to be repaired there. There's a balance that needs to be struck where I can get the same pleasure out of watching a movie by myself as watching it with someone else. It's just a different experience. I enjoy both, but it's just different, right? Maybe that's the way that we need to go. So hopefully that kind of rounded out the point a little bit. Essentially, if I have a problem that I'm not sure of a solution or not sure of the origin of the problem, because ultimately to find the best solution, you have to get to the root of what is causing the issue. And then once you understand that first principles, you can work your way back up through and find a way out of it, right? That's just one example of how I've used this in the past. And it's really served me well. And not only to find solutions to problems, but also just to examine my beliefs and examine my thought patterns and examine ideas that I have, is running it through, essentially thinking of it as different thought simulations, where if I have an idea that I believe is a good idea and I run it through two different lenses, like I run it through, not all these lenses are going to apply every single time, but maybe I run it through how this is going to affect me emotionally, how it's going to affect me physically, how it's going to affect me neurochemically, how it's going to affect me spiritually. And if it checks all those boxes, probably a good idea to do that thing, right? To start that habit, to start, consuming that kind of content, to push myself in that direction, right? But if I get through like one and then the rest of it, it's a negative, maybe not the best idea, or if I have certain beliefs about the way the world works, or the way that I want to be, or the way that what is right and wrong, if I can put it through all these lenses and it checks out, then, we keep it. If not, then maybe I need to find a different way to think about things, a different belief that might serve me better, essentially, or a higher standard of truth. which ultimately is what this is. It's examining the thing, the idea, the thought, the behavior, the whatever, and looking at it all the way around, a 360-degree view, so that I fully understand what's going on and I get to a higher degree of truth than if I just look at the thing and then come up with an opinion and that's it, right? And I found this very beneficial so that I can, because essentially I don't have as much input from the outside. I don't have as many sources of outside opinion that I trust these days. And so I find that I have to create systems to where I can examine my behavior and my beliefs and my thoughts completely in isolation. And in doing so, I don't need to bounce ideas off of everyone. It's still a good idea. Crowdsourcing opinions is never a bad thing. It's not, what should be first. But ultimately, this has helped me do that. This has helped me stay clear on what I'm doing and why I believe the things that I'm doing, instead of just falling into the trap of becoming tribal about who I am and what I want to be and what's going on in my head. I found it pretty beneficial. And it works in a multitude of ways. So not only problem solving, but just overall finding a higher standard of truth for everything in life. So test it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it works for you and what other lenses you employ, because I think there's a nearly infinite ways you can think about things. And I find, I've talked in the past about differentiating knowledge sets and how that helps, and how a lot of times learning different things in completely different unrelated domains can cross-reference and enhance your understanding of each other. Maybe I'm, working on starting a business, and then I start learning computer coding, and understanding coding is like, oh, I think I understand business a little bit better because I'm thinking about it in a different way. Applying this throughout, I've found very useful. So, having lots of different knowledge sets increases the amount of lenses that I can use to examine things in my life. And so it doesn't just stop at the ones that I listed. So, my base set is like spiritual / universal, like things that I believe about the way the world works, the way the universe works, the way nature is organized, right? I can apply that lens. Or neurochemically, because that's something that I have an interest in. Looking at it through what is the chemistry in my body and in my brain, and how is that affecting me? How are my behaviors affecting that neurochemistry? How are my behaviors affecting just the way that I think? And then, like emotionally, understanding what I'm feeling and why, and if that's impacting my behaviors in a certain way, because maybe there's a lingering bias that I haven't examined completely that needs to be either eradicated or just, further understood. So you can do this unlimited amount of ways. So I'd be curious to hear any other lenses that people are able to apply based on their understanding. I mean, fucking hell, dude. Maybe you watch a lot of anime, or you are a big fan of Breaking Bad, and it's helped you. I've found inspiration in many places. For a long time, GTA 5, played that game a shit ton, and it really helped me understand life a little bit better. And I can apply analogies from GTA that helped me round out, the corners of my understanding of things. And so you can get it from anywhere. So I'd be curious to hear where you draw your inspiration. I'd be curious to hear what lenses you can apply to different situations, and if this method as a whole works for you or doesn't. And I'd be curious. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If I am onto something or just talking shit, I'd love to hear it either way. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And with that, I will say, Nick out, baby.